I think living here, I had become a little bit jaded, a little bit hardened. You walk by homeless people all the time, and it becomes such a routine part of your life that I felt like that my compassion level needed a boost.
Keith told me that he had been praying that God would open his heart wide to people in need, and I sat across from his desk and invited him to travel to Rwanda to look at communities impacted by HIV and AIDS and the genocide.
As soon as he invited me, I didn't have to pray about it because I knew that that was the answer to my earlier prayer. And so I said, I'm in. And so in the fall of 2004, I went to Rwanda, and God did indeed break my heart.
I was initially very skeptical when Keith was on his first trip. So on a subway ride up to pick up one of my children from school, I was just praying that God would change my heart or change his. And so I got to the school, and one of the parents of the other children walked over to me and asked me how I was doing, and asked me what Keith was up to. Anyway, I said that he was in Rwanda with a group of pastors to look at the work of World Vision. And she said, World Vision that sponsors kids? And I said, well, yeah, that's the one. And she said, oh, Deanne, don't you know that when I was growing up in the Philippines, I was the youngest of 6 children when my mother left us. I was a sponsored child. And I couldn't believe it, that this very accomplished woman had been a sponsored child. So she was a sponsored child through another organization. She went on to tell me all that sponsorship had meant to her. And my heart really changed that day. And I really did see the impact that child sponsorship can make.
People are extremely busy. It's a very fast-paced place. And so to nail folks down for any length of time is really difficult to do. And so we have that challenge that we work with every day, how to create opportunities for people to grow in their faith.
Dr. Boyd, my friend, tapped me on the shoulder and says, Mike, I got something for you to do. I just came back from Rwanda. I went on a trip with World Vision, and he said, I really want to do something significant over there. And he says, I've chosen you to lead it. So being a military man as I am, I said, yes, sir. And that's how that started. One of the highlights of every trip is the day that we meet our sponsored children.
So we had gone to a sponsorship party to meet our own sponsored children. And I was there playing with one of them with a soccer ball and giving her some gifts. And there was a fence, very simple, like chicken wire fence, sort of around this youth center area. And I looked up, and there were literally hundreds of kids and teenagers who had lined up at this fence to look in on us. And I just looked up at those kids, and I thought, we've got to get those kids over the fence.
That moment also generated a lot of effort on Trinity's part to get really invested in getting children sponsored.
What it did for us is it gave Trinity more storytellers about Rwanda than just me. And so all these people came back with stories of their experience.
So we had this idea that we would do an email campaign. So through this email campaign, we asked 20 people to be storytellers, and we asked them to send emails to 90 of their friends. And between that and a Hope Sunday that we had at Trinity, after 6 weeks, 400 kids had come over the fence and into child sponsorship.
When we first met our little girl with her mom took out an album, and it was all the pictures and the letters that we had sent over the years.
It's love, it's just joy that I get to share my life and my resources with someone halfway around the world, and it's a connection.
For me to help somebody in different part of the world mean a lot to me. This for me, I could be hungry, but I would be able to support these 2 kids. Mean a lot to me. This is a blessing to me to do.
You know, it helps me to understand a lot more about how people live and how I should live my life. You know, it's really made me learn how to love bigger.
The reason that World Vision's been a good partner with local churches is because it has 60 years of experience working with communities in need all over the world. And World Vision has created an opportunity for churches, for local churches, to connect with something much bigger than themselves that they can address together that they could never address on their own.
You know, what we could do on our own in a place like Rwanda would be quite limited. But what we can do when partnered with World Vision is really incredible and sustainable.
I think it really strengthens all the other components of our church because we're united in something.
I am absolutely convinced that any church with enough passion and vision and creativity can replicate the model that Trinity has created in their own context.
Because if you got people that are passionate and creative, then they're going to come up with their own thing. And because it's their own thing and they're passionate about it, they can make it happen.